Welcome to Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant podcast. These are the stories of those who have received, given, and who are waiting for the gift of life, organ transplantation. Now here's your host and heart and kidney recipient, BJ Odom.
Welcome to the Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant podcast, where we explore the extraordinary world of organ transplantation. I'm your host, BJ Odom. Each week we share inspiring stories and introduce you to remarkable individuals sharing their own transplant stories. Be sure to support the podcast by leaving a 5-star review and subscribing on your preferred podcast platform. Have a transplant story to share with us? Please give us an email, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. You can also contact us there for any other reason about the podcast, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. Check out our new website also, giftoflifepodcast.com. As we welcome you to episode 62. Today we are honored to welcome Sierra Hill, a wife, a mother, and a mentor, and a warrior in every sense of the word. After giving birth to her son, Sierra was diagnosed with severe heart failure due to peripartum cardiomyopathy. Her life took a sudden turn, leading to a heart transplant on November 12, 2023. Sierra now faces severe rejection of her donor heart and is already listed for a second transplant. Yet despite the complications, the challenges, and the uncertainty, Sierra continues to rise. And we'll chat with her coming up next. Welcome to the podcast, Sierra. And to start things off, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So before I share my journey, I do want to just start by saying, thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of just talk. I also want to thank my donor who selfless life. They gave me life, and to my who stood beside me through every high and low, and to my medical team. They truly never gave up on me. So I do want to just go ahead and get that out the way. I am a heart transplant recipient, but I'm also a mother, a wife, and a woman of faith who's learned what it truly means to fight for your life and find purpose throughout this process. So basically, what began as the scariest chapter of my life, it definitely has transformed into something more deeper. It transformed into a mission I'm very passionate about. The mission is now Beating Beautiful, and basically it's just a movement and a brand that blends my love for makeup with my passion for organ donation, advocacy, because I truly believe that healing can be both physical and beautiful. So my story.
That's beautiful. I'm glad you shared that. That's actually a beautiful thought there. Now you got me thinking, young lady.
Oh, thank you. So life before my diagnosis. I was a mom first, of course. I do have 2 kids. I have an 11-year-old daughter, Anaya, and I have a 3-year-old son, Cash, and then my husband, Willie. When I found out I was pregnant with my second child, big age difference. They're 8 or 9 years apart, depending on how you look at it. My husband, on November 11th, 2021, and I want to emphasize that date, November 11th, because it's very special, and I'll tell you later during on. But anyways, he was involved in a horrific motorcycle accident on that date. He was going to get us food on his motorcycle when someone hit him through the intersection, and it caused him to fall off his bike. So that was very traumatic. He had to go under life-saving emergency surgery. He lost his spleen, had several fractures, had a concussion. It was just a long process. And, I'm still navigating being a new mom to a newborn that was coming into the world soon. And then, I still had my daughter. I'm still working. And then just trying to navigate my husband into, healing was tough for me. Anyway, so my son was born May 31st, 2022. And about 6 months after he was born, I started having some symptoms the symptoms started off as like chest pain, a lot of fatigue, and then nausea started. So I went to the hospital and they ran a couple tests. They kept me for about 4 days, and they basically saying, this is expected. You're a new mom. Your body's just trying to adjust. It's just postpartum. But hey, you do have high blood pressure, so we're going to give you some high blood pressure medication. So they released me with some high blood pressure medication. I was okay for a little bit. And then about a week later, the symptoms like came back. Now they were like stronger. It was like when I would lay down, I was having trouble breathing. It's like someone was like drowning me. I was having trouble walking, like just from, my bed to the bathroom. I was just tired all the time. My feet were swelling. So the next month I went to a different hospital and, they ran a lot more tests. And one thing they did, which I find so funny, they were like, hey, your gallbladder is inflamed and we think it could be causing pressure on your heart. So we're just going to remove it. So they did remove my gallbladder. And then, they ran some extensive tests that the first hospital didn't. And I was diagnosed with peripartum cardiomyopathy. Never heard of it. Basically, it's something that some women get after pregnancy, where the pregnancy stress, like, kind of just it takes a toll on your heart. However, they said, most women recover with medication and like lifestyle changes. So they were very hopeful that I was going to be in that category. And so I was on some different medication, and things I changed. My diet, started exercising a little bit more, but I was still tired. Still had the swelling, still felt like I was just drowning. Um, so in January of 2023, they put an ICD in me because after some different tests, like the echo and some other tests, they were like, okay, your ejection fraction is still kind of low. So we're just going to put an ICD in you. And then we're going to talk about some other medications if this doesn't work. And this was in January of 2023. By beginning of March of 2023, I was back in the hospital. This time I stayed there about 2 weeks, and they put the milrinone pump in me, the IV medication, because my heart was in fact getting worse. I was like now in severe heart failure. And this is like the turning point. This is kind of when I guess I had that wake up call, like, hey, I'm really like battling some like health issues here, like serious health issues, because they had a doctor come in, top cardiology surgeon, and he was great. And he was like, this is where we are at the moment. Like the medication is not working. They were concerned because, most women who do get this rare disease, they recover fine. And in fact, I was not recovering. I was getting worse. And then he said something that stuck to me that day. And I'll never forget it. I even recorded it, but he told me that if he had my heart or anyone else had my heart, they wouldn't be talking because they would be laying in the bed on a ventilator. That's how weak my heart was. But the good thing was my body had kind of adjusted to the weak heart, so I was able to like function a little bit. But of course, my ejection fraction was under 15%.
Oh, wow.
And I had yeah, and I was I think the normal output was like 5, and I was at 3.5. So this is when he really started saying, if this milrinone doesn't work, then we really need to talk about, replacing your heart. And um, it's still hard to hear because, like my whole world just kind of like shifted. Because I went from getting engaged to my husband to finding out, okay, we're having a baby. So we put the wedding off on hold. And then my husband having this horrific accident, and, he's still dealing with surgeries and, just trying to get back to himself, which he never will. He'll never be back 100%. But so I was dealing with that. I still had my 10-year-old daughter, and then I had this newborn. And on top of this, my heart is failing. So it was just so much. Like I felt like I just couldn't breathe. Like I didn't know what was going to happen next. Mm. So I
Now,
was on the milrinone
I
for
was,
about. I'm sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say, can I just stop you for 1 minute? Because you've said something that I want many people to hear. You went to one hospital and you weren't exactly getting the answers and you weren't exactly getting what you needed. So you decided when this, strange illness that came upon you was still continuing, you went to another hospital. And I want to tell people, because you're not the first person to tell me that story. So it's important.
Yeah,
If you don't feel like you're getting the treatment you need or the treatment that you deserve, and you're still, having these symptoms, don't feel bad to change hospitals, to change doctors, because I don't know how many times in, doing this podcast, I have heard that story. And so I just want to, anybody that's struggling out there with any ailment, if it seems like things aren't turning around and getting better, then you need to maybe take another direction. So I'm proud that you did that
absolutely.
as quickly as you did. So I'm sorry to interrupt there, but I just wanted to really emphasize that because I think it's important.
Yeah, it truly is. Hospitals, I mean, they're doctors, but they don't know everything and they can't tell you how you're feeling. And that's something I had to learn through this journey, to advocate for yourself, because no one's going to do it for you. So definitely, if you feel, something's not right or you're not getting what you need, definitely go out and, find answers yourself and get the help that you desperately need, because I mean, it's very important. Like, your life can change in an instant. So very good point.
And good for you,
Um,
girl.
yeah, so I definitely, even my family to this day, we definitely believe that I was misdiagnosed, but it's hard to prove. So we just left it alone. But I'm in better care now. So I'm very thankful I went through that and I found my team and, my support. Um, so after the doctor, we discussed the heart transplant and I was on the Milrinone for a little bit. Um, I still wasn't getting any better. The Milrinone, it worked for like maybe a week. I had like a sudden burst of energy where I could clean and I could walk a little bit. Um, and that was like great because I haven't felt that since like before I was pregnant. And I was missing out on so much with my family and my kids. Like, I couldn't pick my son up because I was always tired, and I was like nursing at the time, but I had to stop with all the medications. And these are things that were taken away from me because I didn't get to experience that with my daughter. I was young and kind of naive when I had her. So I didn't really take the time to enjoy those little moments. So with my son, I was like, I'm gonna nurse and I'm gonna like be more present and I'm gonna, do better. And for a while I was, and then, the sickness came and it just kind of like stole those moments away. Um, but I mean, I'm here, so can't complain about that. So anyways, the Milrinone wasn't working, and then this is when my doctor transferred me to another hospital, my transplant hospital, where I had to go through the evaluation process of the heart transplant. And BJ, I did not know what to expect. Like, that evaluation is so, I mean, I get it, but it's just so intense, and it was just so overwhelming to the point where, like, I was like, is this even worth it? Because it was just so much I had to do. Like, I had to get vaccinated and I had to get this checked and that checked and, speak to this person. And it was just a lot. And they were like, I felt like they were invading my privacy. They wanted to know, my bank account and, if I have, how much support do I have? And it was just a lot. And I was like, I'm already dealing with so much. And now, I have to go through this. And just for you guys to see if I'm even, eligible. Um, so I really do wish they would kind of like make the evaluation process like less intimidating. And because I mean, there are sick people out there. And unfortunately, they don't have things that everyone else has. And I mean, I still believe that they deserve to live. And unfortunately, they don't meet every checkbox. It seems like, they're not eligible for that transplant. And I feel like that's just, not fair, but that's another subject for a different day, I guess.
Uh,
Um,
because
so
yeah, the
anyway,
health. I will say this, and many will agree with you. The health system is just crazy out there. But I do understand a lot of the mental things that they look for, and like
yeah,
the caregiving, because you do need quite a bit of caregiving. And let me ask you that. And I'm kind of like miss going in a couple different directions here, but I know you said your husband had the motorcycle accident, still not to 100%. So he was probably also needing caregiving almost as much as you, or maybe, he's getting better now. So was that part of the journey for you too?
Yes, so we live in Georgia. We have no family here. All of our family, my family's in Texas, his family's in Mississippi, some of my family's in Mississippi too. So we really had to lean on our families to come out from Texas or Mississippi and like help us, not only with ourselves but with our children because we had an infant or a newborn still, and he was little. And we had no daycare at the time. We had just moved into a house actually as well. So it was tough. That's why I said, I thanked our family because they were truly our rock. And my husband, he's always been like a man, like very manly. So it was hard for him to like rely on help because he wasn't used to that. And um, the accident, I believe, it kind of took a lot from him mentally, not only physically. And um, I can tell he lost a little bit of himself, but he's slowly getting it back. And I think now we're in a lot, a much better place. He's mentally stronger, but during that time it was hard because I felt like at the time everything was on me before my illness or before I knew I was sick. I was the one that, was really working because he's a pipe welder and he was union. So he doesn't get like, vacation days like I do. Basically, he just couldn't work and he didn't get paid. However, the union, they did step up and, help us out as much as they can. So we're grateful for that. But still, everything was kind of like on me,
And
bill wise. And
yeah, and you don't need to give me your
mhm.
ages or not, but obviously what I'm seeing is a young couple. They have a young daughter already, and then they get a newborn. I mean, this is where really the family grows and everything is discombobulated. So I understand you both were probably going through just a terrible time, and it just seems like you'd have one mountain fall and then another mountain would fall. So I see your pain here in all this.
Yeah, it was tough. Like I said, everything kind of happened so fast as well, BJ. It's like, you know, I went from being engaged to find out I was pregnant to my husband's motorcycle to us getting the house to my son being born and then my health issues. And it's like I never got a chance to just sit back and kind of like take one in, like, and that's something, I've been working towards as well through therapy. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can say we're young, we're in our 30s. But yeah, it's been challenging for sure. Just navigating our health issues and still trying to be a parent and still trying to, work and provide. And it was a lot. And then it just seemed like with my health issues, I wasn't getting any better. So I started to get scared. Like, am I going to be here to raise my children? Enjoy this marriage that, I just got married. We had to get married at our apartment because everything just happened so fast and all of our plans kind of get got put on hold. But it was a special moment. It was just me, my husband, and my daughter, and then his dad. My father-in-law is a pastor, so my mother-in-law and my father-in-law came up and they married us in our apartment before we moved. So I don't regret it. It was very intimate, but we just had all these plans, BJ, and everything just it didn't happen. And I'm a planner. I'm very big on like if things don't happen, like how do I adjust and navigate through? So that's still tough because it's hard to plan even now with me having to have a second transplant. It's like I can't plan because I never know what's going to happen. Um, so over the summer, things I'm still on the Milrinone, and I finally got approved. About 6 weeks later, they approved me for a heart transplant, and I was listed as a status 4 because I did have like the Milrinone, so they did consider me like stable. And then came August, I wasn't like the Milrinone was like no longer working at all. It was like serving no purpose. So my team was like, hey, you need to come in so we can, admit you and get you worked up the list. So I went in the end of August and I stayed in the hospital from August till the end of December. When I got admitted to the hospital about a week later, they put the impeller that helped pump my heart. And when I got that surgery, I was on the cardiac floor at first. I was on floor 4, I'll never forget. And I was next to two people because, like, the rooms kind of remind me of, like, I don't know, like a restroom stall to me. Like, you got the nurses station, like, right there, which to me would be like the water station. And then the stalls, which is like our rooms, because they're like connected and they're just like open so the nurses could check on us. And there were two elderly people next to me, and they both had the LVAD. And I'll never forget because, again, this is another turning point in like where I was mentally and just how this process was going. The older gentleman to my left, it was a Friday night, and he coded, and we shared the same nurse. So like the nurse was supposed to like close the little door, but when she heard the code, she just like ran over next door. So my door was left open, and I got to see like the action, which was so intense. Like you could see people running, and you hear the codes, and I did see these health providers, like, doing everything they can to like try to save this person's life. And they were over there for about 30 to 45 minutes working on this patient. And unfortunately, that patient, didn't make it. Um, and this happened on a Friday night. So I was kind of shaken up, but I'm like, okay, things happen, you know, new day. So Saturday morning, I seen my neighbor. She was the next neighbor. She was on the LVAD and she was up walking around. And she spoke to me, like she waved through the door and she told me, we're going home soon. And I was like, yes, ma'am, we are. And that was like the first and last time I seen her. And that night, she coded. And again, my door was left open and I got to see the same, rapid response come and all these all these healthcare providers, like, just running and doing everything they can. And they stayed over there for about an hour or two. And unfortunately, she passed. So at this point, I was like so scared. Like, I called my husband. I was like, you have to come get me. I was like, kind of naive, but I'm like, they're killing people in the hospital. I was like, I told him what happened. And he's like, again, he's a man. So he's like, you're in the best place, you can be. He's like, I'm not coming to get you because there's nothing I can do for you here. And I don't want to hear that because I just seen two people pass away, like two people that's next door to me. And, I believe they're waiting on a transplant. I'm not sure, but it was still like just surreal. So I didn't want to hear what he had to say. So I hung up and I called my mom and, I told my mom and I was ready to go or I'm going to check myself out. So she got worried. She called my in-laws. So my my husband's father called me. And again, he's a pastor. So he was preaching to me. And I was on the phone with him, listening to him, encourage me. And then my mom, she was calling the hospital to tell them like what happened. So about 20 minutes later, the chaplain came in. She gave me like, some sentimental values, like a prayer book. And like, she was talking to me and she prayed over me. And then the doctors came in and then the floor director came in and they apologized about what happened. And, they kind of just assured me, they had both of them had something else going on and I was safe and my situation is not theirs and they kind of just really helped me through that night because BJ, I was ready to go. I'm like, I just seen two people die and I was scared because I didn't know if I was next. um,
I can
but
only, I can only imagine because I've been through this and I didn't see that, and I can only imagine if I'm in a hospital waiting for a heart transplant and this happens while, kind of like on my call, I guess, or my, right across from me. I remember it happened one time during dialysis that the lady next to me had passed, and that was during her dialysis. And I kept saying, "Oh,
mhm.
could this happen to me?" And so I understand your feelings, and you being afraid. But I will tell anybody out there who's listening, every story is different and every story
Hmm.
ends differently. And you got to just keep telling yourself that, well, you know, I'm different
Yeah.
and, I'm going to fight through this and I'm going to stay positive.
Yes. Staying positive is definitely what's keeping me going. And it has kept me going. And at the time I was weak. And I didn't know any better. But, now since I've been through what I've been through, I will definitely, agree with you. Staying positive and staying in a good mental place will help you physically as well get through anything. So after that night, they did move me to like a different floor where I had like a bigger room. And so I waited there until I got my transplant. And I had my mom and my in laws and my husband, but they couldn't be there every day. So I kind of relied on my nursing staff and, like, just the healthcare providers there to like be my little family. And we developed a strong relationship. Like, I still talk to some of them, like, I'm friends on social media and I have their numbers. And we check in on each other because a lot of them don't work at the hospital anymore. They've moved on, but we still stay in touch. So that's how like close we were, and they really helped me um, through this journey. Like, they encouraged me. They seen me. Like, whenever I had a problem, they were there. They always listened to me, and I think that's very important when you're like going through what you're going through, whether you're in the hospital or you're not. You just have that support and make sure you trust your team. And I'm very grateful for my team. The doctors, they explained everything as best as they could. They prepared me as much as they could. I don't think you can ever truly get prepared enough for what's to come, but they did a good job, and I'm so grateful to them. I did experience some dry runs. My first one, after the first one, the other ones were like, but I think the first one, I was like really excited. I was getting, prepared. My mom was actually like on a plane headed back to Texas, and my team came in and was like, "Hey, we have a heart for you." And I'm like, "What?" So I called my mom, and she was at the Atlanta airport, and she's on a plane, and she's like, "Stop playing." I'm like, "I'm not, mom." I'm like, "The doctor's here and they have a heart." And so thankfully, the airport, like the pilot, they opened the cabin door, which they weren't even supposed to, but they allowed her to leave, and they gave her a water bottle and some peanuts. And she was able to get a bus fare or a cab or something. Anyway, she made it back to the hospital while I was still like prepping. And this was a DCD donor. They did tell me that there was a chance that the heart might not be viable, but they had their hopes high, and everything looked good. So as I was getting ready to go down to be prepped, about 5 minutes later, they came in. They canceled the surgery. And I think I was devastated. I was devastated. I wouldn't say I think. That was very hard, because I've already been in the hospital. This was in October, so I've already been here since August. And, I was just ready to start this new life. Um, but it wasn't the heart for me. I see that now, but after that first one, I had another dry run. And again, I was like, okay, if it happens, it happens. Like, I'm not going to be into it like I was with the last one. But it didn't happen. And then on November 12th, 2023, I received an offer and it went well. And the reason why I emphasize that date again, because November 12th, 2021 is when my husband had his motorcycle wreck, had his surgery, his life-saving surgery. And then November 12th of 2023 is when I received my new heart, my second chance at life. So it's like we both had a second chance on that date, even though it was like 2 years apart. So that date is very meaningful. It's like right there with our wedding anniversary. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty cool, that we had our surgeries on the same date.
You get to
Now,
get to celebrate get to celebrate on that same day too. But
yeah.
now obviously that helped you and you're feeling better. And now this next part of the story, which a lot of transplant patients have not had to experience, and it sounds like you're getting ready to experience things all over again. Am I correct?
Correct. So as soon as they put the heart in, my body started rejecting it. I've had a lot of rejection. I had the CMV virus. I also developed diabetes. I had shingles. Like I feel like everything that went wrong with this heart definitely went wrong. Like anything that could have went wrong, basically. So yes, there is a lot of damage done to the donor heart. That now I am relisted for a second transplant. Um, and I'm gonna just go ahead. A lot of people don't know. Actually, only besides my husband, my mom and my in-laws know this. But I had a Pap smear about a month ago, and it came back as abnormal. So they did a biopsy, and it came back to be cervical cancer. Um, so I do have to have a total laparoscopic hysterectomy next week, where they're going to remove the uterus. The good thing is the cancer is not attached to the wall or it's not in the blood. It's just literally on the uterus. It hasn't grown in size since my last scan. So they do feel that, just removing the uterus will get rid of the cancer.
And then you'll be able to
Well,
be on the list again, right?
yes. So right now, since they have confirmed it as cancer, cervical cancer, UNOS has listed me as a status 6, which is basically inactive. And I have to wait 6 months after the surgery for them to check to ensure that it's the cancer is gone, and then my team will have to submit an appeal because they usually want you to wait like 1 or 2 years after your diagnosis. Um, I am in heart failure now. I'm in active heart failure. It's not as severe, and I can't think of the word with my heart, but basically, I only have like 2 valves instead of 3, and I have a tear, which is causing a slow leak with my heart. And so my team is like really monitoring. Like I go every 2 weeks for labs and echo and just other scans right now until my surgery for the hysterectomy. But yes, it has. I'm no longer active on the list. I have to wait till the end of the year, after 6 months after the surgery, for all of my scans to like come back clear, and then my team has to submit an appeal saying, basically trying to fight for me to get active on the list, instead of waiting the 1 to 2 years.
Wow.
Um,
I feel so sorry for you, girl.
yeah.
This is, you just get like one punch after another.
Yeah, BJ, and it was hard. But I've learned through this journey, like I'm better now. Like, even the things that happened in the hospital, like, I'm just mentally I'm stronger because I know, like you said, just staying positive and just looking at my family, like, knowing I have to be here for my kids and be strong. Like, I've already endured so much. Like, I'm like, what else can happen? But it's happening, so don't say that. But I'm actually okay with it. I can't predict how things are going to work out, but I do use every day I can to like make a difference. Like I said, I do have my makeup Beating Beautiful brand that I'm using. I work with Georgia Transplant Foundation. I'm a member with the YPC board. Um, so anytime I can advocate for organ donation, I am. I have spoken at the Georgia Transplant Life Celebration of Life Gala. That was so incredible. Speaking, sharing my story, and trying to get people to donate, whether it was, their time, their finances, or just signing up to be an organ donation. I also spoke at my transplant hospital for Donate Life event. Um, so I'm doing what I can while I can, because I was given this second chance from this person I never got to meet, and I have to do something for them and for myself. Um, and that's what I've been focusing on, just like I'm still working. I'm so thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my support system. I'm just thankful that I'm able to do the things I can, even while I'm going through so much. But it's, my mission is keeping me how do I say it? It's fulfilling me. So I have so much to do that I don't get to dwell on, like, what I'm going through, because there's always someone going through something worse as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like. I mean, it's kind of funny because I think maybe you and I have a little bit of the similar characteristics. Because especially, you've been in the hospital a lot. I've been in the hospital a lot, and when I am having one of those down days, or things aren't going in my direction, and I go, "Woe is me." But then I look around and I go, "Well, look at this person. Look at this child who's not even, an adult yet, just a child going through these things." And then
Mm,
I mean, it doesn't lift me up, but it says, if these people can, fight, then I can continue to fight. And I'm glad that you are thinking positive. I'm glad you're fighting, because believe me, that is half the battle.
yes, agree.
Very
Yeah,
proud of
and
you, young
I
lady.
love it. Thank you. And I love what you're doing, BJ, allowing people to express themselves and share their story. It's comforting to, because there's sometimes like people don't realize, what they're harboring until they let it out. And especially since you've been through what, so many of us have experienced, you're doing a great job. So thank you. Thank you for doing this and being that person for a lot of transplant patients
And what I'm
or
finding too is
families.
is people that know, or have heard now, you're going to need, or eventually you're going to need. And a lot of these people that are in need listen to this podcast also, and it gives them hope
Mhm.
and encouragement, and that obviously makes me feel super awesome. And as your story should give people that optimistic hope feeling too.
Yeah. And life is beautiful. I mean, don't let, my story, deteriorate you or scare you into, getting a transplant or, just being scared of anything, because my story is not your story. I mean, you could have your transplant and have nothing wrong. And I pray that is, for everyone. But, there are people that have, speed bumps in their journey, and it just gives everyone a chance to kind of like see what other people are going through and learn, like, okay, they're dealing with it, this is how they got through it, and I can do it as well. I'm in a lot of transplant support groups, and I will say, if you're going through this process or thinking of it, or if you know someone that's going through this process, definitely reach out to, like, a transplant group and connect with people, because they understand, what you're going through, what you're feeling. They've been there, they're doing it. And it's just a different community to have. Like, everyone's uplifting, they support you. And, they try to answer what they can. Of course, your best resource is always going to be your team, but they do, provide advice. But it's just incredible. People, when they're facing health issues, I believe they're just like nicer, and they're seen in a different light. And I wish we had more of that in the world, because we definitely need the positivity, in the world, and the unification to bring people together. And I hope that one day we can get back to that.
Now, let me ask you this too, because you said your father-in-law was a, pastor. Now, how has he influenced or helped you through this whole process, or with him, being in the ministry?
Yeah. He has definitely just encouraged me to rely on my faith. My faith, I've always, had my faith. It wasn't as strong as it is now. He's just been there, not only as the father figure, but as that man of, his faith, giving me something to stand on. It's just it's just different knowing, if you're a strong believer, like, you're going to be okay. And whether you're not okay, you're okay with, how things are happening, or, what's in store for you. Um, my husband is a strong believer as well. And his strength has really, I would say, really just helped me. Cause he never complained. Like, even when he's going through what he's going through, when he has aches and pains, he doesn't say anything. He just, pushes through. And some of his strength has rubbed on me as well, because, I mean, complaining doesn't do anything. And he hasn't let, his his incident stopped him. He's back at work full time. He's back to his normal self sometimes, but I mean, he has issues as well. Like, I'm sure he has PTSD, but he doesn't allow it to show, and he doesn't allow it to get in the way. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I mean, he was by my side through it all. Um, he stayed a week with me, didn't take a shower. That was funny, but my support system has been great. They they've really been there for me, and I can't thank them enough.
Well, awesome. Now, is there anything that we may have missed or anything you want to talk about before we let you go? Because I want to give you that opportunity here before we say goodbye for the day.
The only thing I would suggest is like if you're not an organ donor, please look into, becoming one because you never know. It might be you or someone you love or someone you know that is in need of an organ, donation. And so many people are waiting for one. And unfortunately, there's just not enough donors. So if I could influence you to do anything, it would be at least, do your research, do valid research, and don't listen to, what you hear about organ donation. So really, that's it. And just keep fighting no matter what you're going through. It doesn't have to be health issues. Just keep pushing through because things do get better.
Well, Sierra, I'm going to wish you, your husband, and your children the very best of luck. And I hope we find you that second heart, and that second heart comes in. And it is just the most beautiful gift you've ever gotten. Don't have, I know if you're going to be a transplant, you're going to have some bumps, but I hope they're just little speed bumps and not the bumps you've been going through for the past few years. So nothing but the best to you, young lady.
Thank you, BJ. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great day and, continue doing what you're doing a great thing for us.
Thank you so much, Sierra, for sharing your story with us today. And be sure to join us each week for a new heartfelt episode of the Gift of Life podcast. If you have a transplant story, email us giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook. Also, don't forget to like and share this podcast with family and friends. And we appreciate that 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Another podcast you might enjoy is myself and my old morning radio partner, Bill Stevens. BJ and Bill, the podcast, all on the Podcast Playground Network. I'd like to thank them for making this podcast possible. Until next time, I'm BJ Odom. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey and reminding us all to appreciate each and every day and to treasure the extraordinary gift of life.
He was running on empty, heart fading fast. Doctor said, man, you ain't gonna last. But a stranger's kindness, a gift so true, turned the night sky into something new. He got a second chance, he got a brand new spark. Like a freight train rolling back from the dark. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. "15 years later, the road got rough. The fight ain't over when the climb is tough. Needed a kidney, the race was on. Another hero stepped up, kept him strong. Every breath he takes is a tale of hope. One life saved, another can cope. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. Doctor's hands, a donor's grace, running on down to a brand new place. Second chances don't come twice, but when they do, man, they feel so nice. So let's spread the word, let the people know. One yesterday lets a miracle grow. You don't need wings just to save a man, just a little love, a helping hand. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. BJ still rockin', still standing tall, thanks to the ones who gave it all. Gift of life, hear the sound. Pass it on, pass it down. The Gift of Life podcast, hosted by BJ Odom. Listen now. Listen now.